let me get set up here for a second. Okay, let me just interest you for some time and talk about something that I really don't like. Have you heard of a thing called a notebook and lock it? Maybe that might not mean anything to you, but it does bring a vital impact onto this game. But let me explain first. Alright, it's time to begin the explanations now, and to continue on the start. The notebook, which is a weapon used for fighting, deals 55 damage. This gives invincibility frames during attacks, which is 0.4 seconds every single attack, and KR or other damage over time effects can actually go through this. This locket is an armor item which contains a picture of a human and a monster. This armor gives a total of 92 max HP, and the improved ability from what we know heavily decreases KR taken, or damage over time effects. This loadout is vital for me to talk about its combo potential and its loadouts from here then after. Well, more importantly, why did I have to talk to you about this and, you finding out why it has such a huge impact? Well, in this game, it's a freaking major problem! If you go into any Roblox server, a single notebook and locket, which we'll call NNL, has a detrimental impact on every single game match and utterly destroys the meta. Since KR, or damage over time, is prevalent in almost every character, removing that attribute entirely undermines the entire reason why KR exists in the first place, to deal damage over time. If a game mechanic like jumping made you lose a game, how would you feel? Angry? Sad? Annoyed? Well, to be honest, yes. Be hopping this one and removing that is entirely both. Alright then, to get things started, let's start with the first example. Sudden Changes Sands is one of the characters in UGS, and he has a very versatile fighting mechanic. He shoots bullets, shoots more bullets, and really has just abundance of bullets. But one more important move he has is his Bone Close move. It puts a certain region of the map completely inaccessible due to an immense amount of damage if you step foot into it. This mechanic is vital to his fighting style, as his bullets needs time to reload and he can't always shoot more. But Notebook and Locket throws this out of the water completely. Since you already know what the mechanics of Notebook and Locket does, by removing the KR mechanic and giving iframes per each hit, it allows any type of person wielding this loadout to completely pass through the Bone Close, disregarding the move completely and destroying what little there is left with Sands with a gun. This is, as you can see, quite busted. Yeah, it's not very fun as a Sands guy. As you can see. But, yeah, in conclusion, it just basically destroys any character that uses KR as its main damage point. And even before then, Sudden Changes Sands was good. Now it's just completely garbage if you take into account NNA. Even though with just 2 is enough, even with just defense skill, they can completely ruin a fight and can just take 30 seconds to a minute to even defeat one NNA player. And there's completely no argument against the 2 or even 4. There's no way you can win at that point. Section 2 will further explain how many characters it affects, how it affects each one, and possible counterplays to each and every one of them, if you decide to play the game yourself and try it out for a run. Whoops. Well, let's just disaway the Trello and bring up Section 2 for now. Bone Sands is one of the fighting characters in this Roblox game that mainly focus on KR, which I'll be using as a primary example for the other Sandses, like Swap Papyrus or Sands himself. Bone Sands costs 50 wins, has 2 phases, and has a total of 16 dodges along with 350 HP. Along with this, he has a unique trait to do much more KR damage along with higher stacks, making him quite a dangerous fighting character to deal with. Since the NNA loadout has a bug where it heavily decreases the damage taken via KR sources, this makes it almost impossible to fight an NNA player, or even possibly more. Bone Sands is only able to deal 1 damage at a time per 0.4 seconds, and the fact that a decently skilled player would try to dodge their attacks, it almost seems impossible to win, right? Well, let's look at the counterplay. First, the recommended thing that you should do is try not to camp inside Gaster Blasters or Bone Zones. They will not help you, as they deal almost no damage against Notebook and Locket players, and are able to bypass those attacks very easily. Keep moving, and turn around occasionally to see if there are any players behind you. Try to learn their attack patterns, and avoid their hits. Watch your back if they try to flank you. And secondly, which may be the most important, is your play on HP. Since Torn Notebook only does 55 damage, it would take at least 6 hits before your health would deplete. In total, this would amount your total durability to 22. This is a huge amount compared to Swap Papyrus or Sands, having only 7 dodges for Swap and 14 dodges for Sands in total. Use your dodges to your advantage, and wish the best of luck fighting this loadout.
Horror Sands, although with a very well-made skill set, is defensive in nature, baiting players into bone rushes and shaking off players with sharp bones, all of them focused on not allowing players to get near you. However, there is little to no counterplay against defensive players who dodge your attacks. In other situations with different characters, this would be completely fine with characters that have high timers, but Horror Sands has a low timer to boot with its mainly defensive skill set. With only 370 to 380 seconds, many players can wait out the timer and declare a stalemate, having nobody win in the process. Underracer Sands is quite the opposite of Horror Sands, being on the aggressive side, focusing on dealing damage via head-on collisions. This character almost has no weaknesses other than being heavily dependent on player loadouts, so Underracer Sands is able to deal with stalling very easily. However, you can die against 1 to 2 Error 404 users, so just make sure to keep that in mind. For characters like these, you really don't have to worry about Notebook and Locket users at all, but instead worry about the ones who have Real Knife or Pan. Make sure to avoid them at all costs, and semi-ignore the Notebook and Locket users until every single Real Knife user or Pan user is defeated. I've only described some of the Sands that have a problem with this, but many, and I mean many more, are prevalent, making the situation just even worse. In all, I think that Notebook and Locket deals a really heavy hand of cards on the table of UGS. I just don't like how it's applied, as it makes many characters redundant. And it's extremely aggravating, disregarding so many mechanics, and just hurts the dynamics between the Sands versus the players. I can just only say for a fact that it's basically made a negative impact on the game, making it harder for game matches to progress in a realistic manner. If Toondoggo, the creator of UGS, let the developers or him himself rebalance this loadout or outright disable it, it would help bring back the equal dynamic and overall feel smoother to play against. Well, thank you for watching, and comment in the comment section for free money.
I'm not lying, I swear.
Sun Tzu, the art of war.